Hey there. Got a little bit of instructions here for you. I had a couple of people that were asking about these Cengage labs and how to do the drag and drop stuff. So I thought that what I would do is just walk you guys through. I'm going to go down here to the modules and scroll down a little ways. I thought I would just walk you guys through one of these MindTap labs just to kind of show you how this thing goes. So we're going to click on Advanced Hardware Lab, and I know there's a bunch of them for this unit. Sorry about that. Some of these units are going to have more activities than others, but you'll definitely need to set aside an hour or so each day and try to work on these things. Don't try to cram them all into one big overnight session, because sometimes you'll need to start it and then save it and walk away and come back and finish it later. Okay, so Advanced Hardware Lab 1.1. We're going to identify parts of a computer. And for those of you that have done Cengage stuff before, this is going to be just a review, so you might want to just skip it. But if you're new to Cengage, then this might be some good information for you. So we're going to click on Start. And it says here, drag each external port on the rear side of this computer to the correct label. Okay, well, first things first, we got to look at the back side of the computer. So we'll click on this. Now we're looking at the back side of the computer. Okay, so we can either start up here and work our way down, or we can start over here. Doesn't really matter. Okay, but this first port here, see how it's got like two angulations on it? That's an HDMI connector that I'm sure you all are familiar with. This next port has got just, let me zoom it. Okay, see how it's just got one angle? It's angled at one end, but not at the other. That's a display port. Oh, and it's even conveniently labeled, I think. Okay, so we're going to get our display port, and we're going to put it where it belongs, right there. Okay, this white port, it's got a whole bunch of pin connections, and it's got a blade connection right down here. That's going to be your DVI port. Now, DVI ports, you'll find those on legacy systems primarily. As the VGA port, the same thing. Modern computers don't include these. But just in case you're working on an old machine, that might be an important thing to know. Okay, next, we've got some USB ports. So we're going to grab those guys and drag them over to the USB. Then we got more. Let's go ahead and knock out all of our USB ports. The ones that are blue are USB 3. The ones that are kind of an aqua color, those are USB 3.2 normally. Okay, now the next thing we see is this round connection that's part green and part purple. This is a mouse/keyboard connection for old PS2 keyboards. And you probably don't have one in stock. I have a couple of them around here, but we don't use those anymore. Now everything is USB. Let's see, RJ45 connector. This is your Ethernet network connector. And then the next thing we've got is this little, see this little covered port right here? That is a Sony Philips fiber optic port. So we're going to put it up here, SPDIF. And then the last thing we've got is our sound ports. There they go. Now, something that you'll notice in some of these labs, see right here where it says eSATA, there's not one. RJ11, that's a telephone plug, there's not one. So let's submit and see how we did. All right, good deal. All right, match each port to its function. Well, RJ45, as we just discussed, is an Ethernet port. PS2, keyboard and mouse only. HDMI is video, obviously, because our TV is plugged in. It's also audio. So we'll move that over there. Okay, VGA port is video only. That stands for Video Graphics Array. Sound ports, those are just for audio. Display port is for video, but it can also carry audio. SPDIF is only audio. digital audio that you can plug into like a surround sound. DVI is video, and USB is multi-purpose. So let's see how we did. Yay, we got them all right again. Okay, which of these ports transmits digital video? Well, DisplayPort for sure. That's what most new computers are using. DVI can also transmit digital video. VGA is analog only, and SPDIF is audio only. Okay, now we need to connect some devices, it looks like. Okay, whoops, instructions. All right, so I'm just going to put my instructions right here so I can watch them. Okay, select the following devices: DVI monitor, PS2 keyboard. Okay, now we're going to go over here and look at our inventory. All right, the first thing we need is a DVI monitor. So let's take a look at our peripheral devices. Okay, now we've got two computer monitors here. This one here. Okay, if we look at this plug, that does not look like a DVI plug to me. Let's swap out. Aha, that one looks like a DVI plug. So let's use that monitor. Now we need a PS2 keyboard. This keyboard here, this keyboard here. Okay, you see how it's got that purple plug right there? That is a PS2 keyboard, and it plugs into the purple plug on the back. Now it says grab a USB mouse. See how that mouse there has got a green plug? We're going to take this one. That's an a USB mouse. We need a headset. There's only one. And a wireless SOHO router. That's going to be under our network devices. Okay, so we've got this device here. It's a Cisco router. And then we've got this device here that's wireless. See where it says tri-band router? Wireless router. Okay, do we get everything on our list? I think so. Okay, good deal. So far, so good. Now we got to plug these puppies in. All right, again, I'm going to put my instructions over here so I can keep an eye on them. All right, we need to plug in a DVI monitor, a PS2 keyboard. Let's go ahead and do this. Now, you see how that arrow changes to a little finger whenever you float over the part you're supposed to grab? Going to plug that into here. Okay, now, see how these things, my target ports are all green, but then whenever I float over one, it turns blue. That means I can connect to it. All right, a headset. Okay, green and pink. There they go. USB mouse. All right. Now, which USB port can I plug into? Doesn't really matter. I'll just plug into that because it was lit up green, so that's one of my selections. These ones were not lit up, so I can't use them. 3.5 millimeter headset. Already got that. Wireless SOHO router. DVI monitor. Okay, grab the DVI plug, put it at the DVI port, and if you choose the wrong port, like I'll show you on this one. Okay, see this RJ45 connector? I'm going to try to plug it into the VGA port. See there? It won't let me do it. Plug it into the RJ45. Okay, got it done. All right, drag each external port to the correct label. Okay. Put that guy right there for the time being. All right, now I don't see any ports here, so let's look on the back side. Okay, here some ports are. All right, do I have an HDMI port? Why, yes, I do. Do I have an SPDIF port? Oh, I don't see one. Have I got any RJ11? No. Do I have USB? Yes. I have that. I have that. And I have that. These black ports are USB 1 and USB 2, the older USB ports. The blue ports are USB 3. They have a faster transfer rate. RJ45, there that goes. Do I have a VGA port? Nope. Do I have a display port? Negative. Sound ports? Yes. There they go. DVI port? Yes. PS2 ports? Oh, okay, it's got them broken out. Purple and green. And do I have an eSATA port? No, I don't. Okay, now what do we use these ports for? Match each one to its purpose. All right, so Ethernet, RJ45, USB, multi-purpose, sound ports, audio, DVI port, video, PS2 port, keyboard, mouse, HDMI, video, and audio. Okay, did I leave anything out? I don't know, we'll soon find out. Okay, if it comes up and says incorrect, then you can just go back and see if you got anything wrong. All right, now once again we're going shopping. And we need to select, oops. Okay, so we need to select some devices. So let's go to our inventory. We need a Soho router that's wireless. Got it. Okay, we also need PS2 keyboard and mouse. All right, PS2 keyboard. That one has a purple connector. This mouse has a green connector. PS2 keyboard and mouse. USB speakers. That's the only speakers there are, so obviously those are the ones. Wireless Soho router. Have we got, nope, we still need an HDMI monitor. I think this is the one that's got an HDMI plug. Yep, sure does. Okay, so we got a monitor, keyboard, mouse, speakers, and router. Okay, good. All right, attach the devices. No problema. All right, purple plug is the keyboard. Going to plug that into there. Now, if we try to plug it into the green, I don't think it'll let us do it. Okay, grab the, and remember, if you just like try to grab the speakers, it doesn't work. You have to grab the plug and take it over here and plug it into an available USB port. Mouse, plug it in here. Monitor, HDMI, plug it in here. And Soho router, plug it in here. That stands for small office / home office. Okay, now let's take a look inside. Now, which of these are true about DVI and HDMI technology? HDMI can transmit audio data. That's true. Can transmit digital or analog. False. DVI can transmit digital or analog. True. DVI can transmit audio data. False. HDMI and DisplayPort can transmit video and audio, but DVI is audio only. Okay. Drag each part to the correct label. All right. Stick that over there to the side. All right, so what have we got here? Power cords. Here they go. RAM, random access memory. Okay, so those are here. And it looks like there's 2 of them. Okay, but only have to move one. Hard disk drive, there it goes. You can use the magnifier if you need to see, but right there's the tail end of a hard disk drive. So we'll grab that dude and put it here. Optical drive, there we go. Network card, don't see one. Graphics card, nope, those slots are all empty. SATA data cables, there's none plugged in here. See there? The SATA ports are all open. Okay, so CPU fan, yes, there's one of those. Motherboard, definitely. Power supply, that big old thing there. And now look at this second picture here. Okay, there's a solid state drive just kind of hanging out by itself. Is that thing even bolted in? Not sure. Okay, so I think that we've got everything. Let's take a look. All right, correct. Good deal. All right, now, what do we use these things for? Well, CPU fan, the only thing it does is cool your processor. Cooling. Power cords, transfer power. Hard disk drives, store data. Motherboard. Motherboard does several different things, but something it does is power transfer, and it also does data transfer. Optical drives are for data storage. RAM is also for data storage. Solid state drives are for data storage. And power supplies are for power transfer. Let's see if we got them all right. Yep, we did. Okay, if a computer does not have a graphics card installed, what component handles video calculations? Well, if you don't have a video card dedicated, then you need a CPU or an onboard video chip. Typically, it's going to be built into your CPU. Like if you get a Ryzen, like a Ryzen 5700G or something like that, the G stands for graphics. It's got the graphics built in that you can use. It's not going to be as good of performance as a dedicated graphics card, but it'll be functional. All right, let's see what we got. Drag each part to the correct label. All right, so do we have a hard disk drive? Yeah, there one is. I don't know, is that a hard drive or an SSD drive? I don't know. Oh, SSD drive. We got an optical drive. We got a power supply for sure. There it goes. Okay, hard disk drive, power cords. There's a bunch of them right there. And motherboard, this whole thing. Network card, doesn't look like it. Graphics card. Okay, see how this thing is fit into a 16x PCIe slot? Yep, that's graphics card. CPU fan, RAM, and okay, and SATA data. SATA ports, where are you? Okay, well, it looks like we don't have any SATA data visible here. So we're just going to leave that blank. We don't have a network card. I don't see a hard drive anywhere. Okay, the reason we didn't see a hard drive is because there's not one. Match each part to its function. Okay, solid state drive, data storage, graphics card. That's going to be data processing for sure. Power supply, power transfer. CPU fan is cooling. Optical drive is data storage. Motherboard is power transfer and data transfer. Power cords are power transfer, and RAM is going to be data storage. Graphics card, data processing. A lot of graphics cards have memory on them too. Okay, let's go back and try again. What did we miss? Okay, graphics card, it did not like data storage, but let's see if it likes data transfer. All right, very good. Excuse me. All right, now let's take a look at the, excuse me. What features do you need on a computer if you want to take it with you on vacation to another continent? Okay, well, here in the Estados Unidos, we use 60 hertz current, but in a lot of European countries, they use 50 hertz. So you'll need some way to select the voltage. All right, drag each component to the correct label. All right, RAM slots, there they are. PCI slot, Let me move this out of the way. PCI slot. This one. See, does it want us to pick up both of them? No. See, if you mouse over something and it just has an arrow, then it won't let you pick it up. All right, CPU slot. Right there it goes. PCIe X16. We have two of them, one here and one here. This one we can pick up. Okay, PCIe X1 slots. See these little guys here and here? Those are PCIe X1, and it'll let us pick up that one, but not that one. And then the rear ports. This big old mass of ports back here are your rear ports. All right, let's see if we got it right. Good deal. All right, let's see now. Match each component to its function. All right, expansion cards, PCI slot, which is old school. You're probably not going to see a machine with PCI slots unless it's somebody's old machine that you're working on, or maybe your own old machine that you're working on. Rear ports are external attachments. RAM slots are your memory, random access memory, and PCI X16. CPU slot holds the processor. Okay, now let's attach some components. All right, now we have to make sure we get the right components. It says here it needs a Core i5 processor. Well, here one is, Core i5. Let's plug it in. Okay, loving us. All right, we also need a fan. Now, right here goes a fan, and this fan says it's good for an i5 processor. Okay, fun fact, a lot of these machines use the same fan for i5 and i3, but make sure your label is correct before you try to install it. Okay, next thing we need is an 8 GB graphics card. Well, there one is. It's old school, but still functional. That's a 1060, another oldie but goodie. All right, it says DDR3 memory. Here's a DDR3. So we'll put that guy there. Okay, so it went ahead and filled in both slots for us. Very good. And now it says we also need a network card. Okay, here one is, TP-Link. And so we'll just drag this guy over and plug it in here. All right, so we got them all. Oh, goodness. Okay, this is why I said set aside an hour a day, because some of these, they're not super difficult assignments, but they can be time consuming. Okay, PCIe. Okay, this is like a micro ATX motherboard. You'll see that it only has the bare minimum that you need to run a computer. It has 2 RAM slots, a CPU slot, 1 PCIe X1, and 1 PCIe X16. And that's all it has. But if you just wanted to build like a little gaming system, you could put like 32 gigabytes of memory in this thing, and a really good graphics card and a decent CPU, and you would have a nice gaming rig that wouldn't take up too much space. Okay, PCI slot, there's not one. X16 slot, there is one. And then the RAM slots are over here. They're kind of hard to see because they're black on black. Okay, RAM slots, those are going to be for your memory. X1 slot is an expansion card port. X16's expansion. Rear ports are for your external peripherals, and CPUs for your processor. Which of the following is the difference between memory and storage? Well, memory is temporary and storage is long-term. Memory is temporary and storage is permanent. Yeah, permanent unless your hard drive goes south. Okay. Now then, we're going to do something with this little motherboard. It says here it needs an i3 processor. Okay, well this processor is an AMD, which I'm kind of partial to be honest. But, you know, I like Intel processors too. They work. Okay, and we also need the i3 fan. Okay, this is the i5 fan. Let's try to plug the i5 fan in and see what happens. Nope. Okay, we got to get the specific i3 fan. Grab it by the cord here and plug it in. And then the whole thing will go. Okay, now we need that 3 GB graphics card we saw a minute ago. Here it is. And we'll plug that guy in here. We need 2 memory cards, but we need, or memory sticks, we need DDR4. Okay, well here is a decent looking DDR4 memory. Okay, it went ahead and populated both. And we also need that network card again. Here it goes. Network card. All right, fantastic. So we made it all the way through assignment 1-1. So I don't know if that helps you guys or not. But once you're done, then submit your score. And since I'm an instructor, this thing is probably just going to go off into la-la land because, you know, I don't really count as a student. So anyways, that is a rundown on this little assignment. And I know this has run a little bit longer than I'd planned on. Sorry about that. But hopefully you don't have to watch the whole thing, you know, just kind of watch the first few minutes and get the gist of it. All right, well, thanks much, and I'm going to go ahead and post this to the modules so that you guys can take a look at it, and I will see you in the next one.